Hello everyone, this is Shannon from That's So Po, and today I'm doing my TBR for the new Releaseathon, which is a readathon that is running for all of August, focusing on reading new releases. I am co-hosting this with a bunch of amazing booktubers, including Kristen at Kristenelle SFF Reader, Rachel at RK Stumbling Bear, Reija at The Book Finch, and Angela at Literature Science Alliance. If you are not already subscribed to them, please go and subscribe to them. They are wonderful channels. They also are going to have recommendations and TBRs and all sorts of wonderful content, and you're going to find out about so many amazing books from all of them. So please definitely go check them out if you haven't already. So for my TBR today, I am going to be doing what Kazan at Always Doing, who I'll link below, refers to as a pile of possibilities. So rather than a strict TBR where I'm planning to get to every single one, this is more just a list of the books that I'm thinking about reading. All of these are ones that either I own, I've pre-ordered that should come in time, or I've got out from the library. I have a lot of things out from the library right now, but I don't necessarily plan to get to all of these, and I probably will read some things that are not on this list because I have more books coming in from the library every week. So let me go ahead and get started because I have 33 books on this list and I'm so excited about all of them. I'm also going to talk about which prompts for the new Releaseathon bingo board challenges they fulfill, in case you guys see anything here that strikes your interest and maybe you want to add it to your TBR. Also, if you do a TBR, please use the hashtag NewReleaseathon 2022 so that we can find your video and add it to our playlist. There's also a STORYGRAPH challenge, so if you're interested in that, it will be linked in the information box below. So let's get started with the books that I already own. So these are ones that are very high priority for me because I was excited, I bought them, I want to read them. The first of these is actually 3 magazine issues. So Faya magazine, I have issues 21, 22, and 23. This is a Black speculative fiction magazine that I have been really loving. I love their mission, I love what they do, and I have ordered these books and I want to read them, so I'm very excited. This should fulfill the prompts of entire magazine, BIPOC author, probably new to me author because almost always there's authors I don't know, and probably non-USA author, including hard mode for the Global South because they often have Nigerian authors represented. Next is The Daughter of Dr. Moreau by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is a feminist, anti-colonialist retelling of the H.G. Wells story, The Island of Dr. Moreau, focusing on the daughter of Dr. Moreau from her perspective. This sounds amazing. I love Silvia Moreno Garcia, and my friend Cynthia at Book Whimsy has a great review for this, so I will link that below if you're interested. This should fulfill the prompts of BIPOC author and favorite author. Next is Sanctuary by Andy C. Buchanan. This is a novel that is a fantasy about found queer and neurodivergent family of a bunch of people who live in a house filled with ghosts, except that they are threatened one day when a ghost collector comes. I am so excited about this book, and it fulfills a bunch of different prompts. So it fulfills neurodivergent author, including intersectional, because Andy C. Buchanan is non-binary. Title without articles, including hard mode, just one word because Sanctuary is a word. Favorite author, I love Buchanan's work. LGBTQ plus rep, including hard mode, less represented identities, since DC Buchanan is non-binary, and non-USA author, since they are from New Zealand. Next is The Unmatchmakers by Jackie Lau. This is a contemporary romance about 2 friends who go on a multi-family vacation and end up falling for each other even though their moms are super anti-relationship. This sounds like it's going to be a very fun summer romp. This fulfills the challenges of book you have not heard about because I've not heard anybody else talking about this, novella, including hard mode because it is not by Tordotcom, BIPOC author, favorite author, and also non-USA author because Jackie Lau is Canadian. Now moving on to some books that are pre-orders that I think should arrive in time for the readathon, starting with another book by Andy C. Buchanan, Data and Divination. This is book number 4 in their Windflower series. I have a whole series review for the first few books in the series, so I'll link that below. It is absolutely lovely. It is this witchy, contemporary, cozy series that is set in New Zealand. I absolutely love it. This book follows a main character who grew up in a witchy kind of group that was kind of toxic, and so they left and are now living on their own in kind of the normal world, but they get drawn back in to a different witching community that seems like it might be a better place. It sounds like it's going to be super sweet, and this fulfills a lot of prompts. It fulfills book you have not heard about, because I haven't heard anybody else talking about this, including hard mode, because this is indie published. Neurodivergent author, hard mode intersectional, because Andy C. Buchanan is non-binary. Novella, including hard mode, because this is not Tordotcom. A title without articles. Genre bender, because the series is like fantasy mystery, which is a lot of fun. Favorite author, sequel, LGBTQ rep hard mode, because Andy C. Buchanan is non-binary. And lastly, non-USA author, because they are from New Zealand. Then I've got another book by Jackie Lau, Her Unexpected Roommate. This is book number 5 in her Cider Bar Sisters contemporary romance series. And this follows 2 people who have a one-night stand, don't think that they're going to see each other ever again, except that then they end up becoming roommates and maybe something more. I love this contemporary romance series, and I'm really excited to read this book. This satisfies the prompts of book you have not heard about, since I haven't heard anybody talking about it, including hard mode, because it's indie published, title without articles, BIPOC author, favorite author, sequel including hard mode series ender, because I'm pretty sure this is the last book in the series, and non-USA author, because Jackie Lau is Canadian. Next, I've got The Oleander Sword by Tasha Suri, which is one of my most anticipated books of the year. This is the second book in the Burning Kingdom series. The first book was The Jasmine Throne, which I have a standalone review for, so I'll link that below. This series is an epic fantasy that is inspired by classic Indian myths, and it is full of incredible world building and magic and really nuanced, morally gray characters and political intrigue. I absolutely love the first book, and I cannot wait for the second. This satisfies the challenges of BIPOC author, favorite author, sequel, LGBTQ plus rep, and non-USA author, because Tasha Suri is British. Then I've got Empty Smiles by Catherine Arden. This is book number 4 in the Small Spaces series, which is a contemporary middle grade horror series that is so creepy and so good. It follows a group of kids who are trying to survive as there are some supernatural creatures after them. So I'm really excited to get to this 4th book. This satisfies the challenges of title without articles, favorite author, and sequel including hard mode, because this is the series end. Now, all of the rest of the books that I'm going to talk about are ones that I have out from the library. I have a lot of books out from the library, but I'm so excited about all of them, and I've grouped them into kind of categories. So the first is books that are published by Levine Querido, which is a small independent publisher that is doing amazing work. They focus on kidlit, so that is everything from picture books through YA that are translated or that are focusing on marginalized authors. They're doing amazing work. Absolutely love them. So I have quite a few books from them on this list, starting with High Spirits by Camille Gomera Tavares. This is a kind of set of interconnected YA short stories about a Dominican family that is, some of them are diasporic. It sounds like it's going to be fantastic. I love short stories. Interconnected short stories are great. So this satisfies the prompts of book you have not heard about, including hard mode, indie published. I haven't heard anybody talking about this. Short story, including hard mode, entire anthology or collection. Title without articles, BIPOC author, new to you author, and debut. Next is The One Who Loves You the Most by Medina. This is a middle grade contemporary about a kid who's dealing with a lot of different things on their plate, but especially trying to figure out their identity and in particular their gender identity. This sounds like it's going to be fantastic and satisfies the prompts of Book You Have Not Heard About with Hard Mode Indie Published, BIPOC author, New to You author, LGBTQ plus rep, including hard mode for less represented identities, because I believe that the character is non-binary, and debut. Next is Freedom, the Story of the Black Panther Party by Jetta Grace Martin, Joshua Bloom, and Waldo E. Martin. This is a nonfiction YA book about the history of the Black Panther Party. Love historical nonfiction, very interested in this. Satisfies the prompts of Book You Have Not Heard About, including hard mode indie published, BIPOC author, and new to you author. And then lastly from Levine Querido is Gibberish by Young Vo. This is a picture book about a boy who moves to a new country and can't really understand anybody around him. It sounds like it's going to be such a sweet picture book. It satisfies the prompts of Book You Have Not Heard About, including hard mode indie published, title without articles, including hard mode title is just one word, Gibberish, BIPOC author, new to you author, and I believe debut. Then I have a bunch of SFF books, starting with The Void Ascendant by Primi Mohammed. This is the third and final book in the Beneath the Rising trilogy. I have not read the first two books, but I have just started the first one, and I'm going to try to get through those two books so that I can get to this because I am so excited about it. This is a cosmic horror kind of fantasy sci-fi story. I'm really excited because I've read some of Primi Mohammed's novellas, including one set in this world, and they were fantastic. So I really want to read this trilogy. This satisfies the prompts of Book You Have Not Heard About, haven't heard anybody talking about it, as well as hard mode indie publish, because this is published by Solaris, which I believe is an indie publisher. Disabled neurodivergent author, including hard mode intersectional, because Primi Mohammed is BIPOC, BIPOC author, favorite author, sequel including hard mode series ender, and non-USA author because Primi Mohammed is Canadian. Then I've got Goliath by Tochi Onyebuchi. This is a near future sci-fi that is very literary and has all sorts of interesting themes about race and class and gentrification. I am very excited about it, although I definitely have heard that it is a little bit of something you have to sink your teeth into. This satisfies the prompts of title without articles, including hard mode, title is just one word, Goliath, BIPOC author, and also it is a host rec because Angela at Literature Science Alliance has raved about how great this book is, and she has a standalone review for that, so I will link that below. Next is January 15th by Rachel Swirsky. This is a sci-fi novella that explores the idea of universal income, which sounds fascinating. This satisfies the prompts of novella, title without articles, new to you author, and also host rec because Kristen at Kristen L SFF Reader had really great things to say about this one. Then I've got The Way Spring Arrives and Other Stories, edited by Yu Chen and Regina Kanyu Wang. This is a kind of collection of short stories of translated Chinese SFF by women and non-binary authors. It sounds absolutely fantastic and satisfies quite a few prompts, including short story, hard mode, an entire anthology or collection, translated, including hard mode, women authors and translators, BIPOC authors, genre benders. I've heard that it has both kind of like science and fantasy. New to you author, I'm sure that a lot of these will be new. LGBTQ plus rep, including hard mode, less represented identities, since there are definitely some non-binary authors here. Non-USA author, including hard mode from the global south, because these are Chinese stories. And it is a host rec, because Reija at the Bookfinch not only has recommended this highly, but did an entire read-along for their Shorts and Sorcery book club. So if you're interested, definitely check out Reija's channel. I think that they even have just many things talking about this book, their recommendations, as well as a discussion for their book club. So definitely check that out. Next is Bitter by Akweke Emezi. This is a prequel to Pet, which I absolutely loved. It is a YA fantasy that is exploring a lot of ideas of kind of how to have a revolution against a corrupt society. Emezi is an amazing author, but I am a little worried because I've heard that this is kind of a heavy one, so we'll see how I do with it. This satisfies also a lot of prompts. Disabled author, including hard mode intersectional, title without articles, BIPOC author, sequel, LGBTQ plus rep, including hard mode less represented identities because Akwaeke Emezi is non-binary, non-USA author, depending on how you define this. Emezi is Nigerian, but she is an immigrant to the US now, and host rec because this is another recommendation from Reija at the Bookfinch. And then I've got A Comb of Wishes by Lisa Stringfellow. This is a middle grade contemporary fantasy about a girl who finds a mermaid's comb and is able to trade that back to the mermaid in return for some wishes, but things don't necessarily go so smoothly. This satisfies the prompts of book you have not heard about, BIPOC author, new to you author, and debut. Now moving on to some nonfiction titles, starting with The Impossible City by Karen Chung. This is a book where Karen Chung talks about her experiences growing up and living in Hong Kong, and especially about her involvement in counterculture and in protest. This satisfies the prompts of book you have not heard about, BIPOC author, genre bender, including hard mode, more than 2 genres, because this mixes memoir, cultural criticism, as well as reportage. New to you author and non-USA author, including hard mode from the Global South, because the author is from Hong Kong. Next is Read Dangerously by Azar Nafisi. This is a series of essays in the form of letters to her father talking about literature and how it can be a form of resistance. This satisfies the prompts of title without articles, new to you author, and depending on how you define it, non-USA author, including Global South, because Azar Nafisi is from Iran, but she has since immigrated to the US. Next is The Intersectional Environmentalist by Leah Thomas, and this is a book that just talks about what intersectional environmentalism is and how you kind of look at the interactions between race and class and privilege along with environmentalism. This satisfies the prompts of book you have not heard about, BIPOC author, new to you author, and debut. And then I've got Abolition, Feminism Now by Angela Y. Davis, Gina Dent, Erica Miners, and Beth Ritchie. This is a book that is all about the kind of abolition of police and prisons and how that interacts with intersectional feminism. It sounds like it's going to be amazing. This satisfies the prompts of title without articles, BIPOC author, and new to you author, although I'm so sad that I haven't read anything by Angela Davis yet, so I really want to read this one. Then I've got a couple of romances on my TBR, both of which I heard about from Cynthia at Bookwhimsy, who I'll link below. The first is A Caribbean Heiress in Paris by Adriana Herrera. This is set in 1889 in the World's Fair in Paris, and we follow a woman who owns a rum company, and she's going to kind of promote that, and she ends up in a marriage of convenience with a Scottish earl. I'm very excited about this. It satisfies the prompts of BIPOC author and, depending on how you define it, non-USA author, including hard mode Global South, because Adriana Herrera is originally from the Dominican Republic, although she is now an immigrant to the US. The other romance is A Proposal They Can't Refuse by Natalie Kanya. This is a contemporary romance about 2 people whose families own businesses. One is a restaurant and one is a whiskey distillery, and their grandfathers basically threaten to shut down and sell the family businesses unless the 2 get married. So it is a marriage of convenience trope, and I think those are always really fun. This satisfies the prompt of new to you author. Then I've got some poetry on my TBR, starting with Woman Eat Me Whole by Ama Asenteva Diaka. So this is a poetry collection that seems to especially focus on womanhood and body and mental illness, as well as issues of immigration. I am really excited because I heard very good things about this from Olivia Savannah at Olivia's Catastrophe, who I'll link below. This satisfies the prompts of disabled author, hard mode intersectional, title without articles, BIPOC author, new to you author, depending on how you define it, a non-USA author, including hard mode Global South, because the author is from Ghana but also lives part-time in the US now, and debut. The other poetry collection on my TBR is Dream of the Divided Field by Yan Yi. This collection is all about identity and immigration, and it's by a Chinese American trans poet. It satisfies the prompts of book you have not heard about, BIPOC author, new to you author, and LGBTQ+ rep, including the hard mode of less represented identities, because the author is trans. Then I've got a couple of YA and middle grade books on my list, starting with Breathe and Count Back from 10 by Natalia Sylvester. This is a YA contemporary about a teen girl with hip dysplasia who really wants to get a kind of job at the local water theme park as a mermaid, but her parents, who are Peruvian immigrants, are very overprotective of her. This is a book that I'd heard about from Cynthia at Book Whimsy. She has an entire review for it, so I will link that below. It satisfies the prompts of disabled author, including hard mode intersectional, title without articles, BIPOC author, and new to you author. Next is Jennifer Chan is Not Alone by Tay Keller. This is a middle grade contemporary about a girl who is trying to figure out what happened by reading the journal entries of her classmate and neighbor who has gone missing. And in the journal entries, the girl who's gone missing talks about a lot of alien encounters. There's a lot in this book about kind of isolation and not fitting in, and some really interesting sounding themes. I've read another book by Tay Keller that I really love, so I'm very excited about this one. This fits the prompts of book you have not heard about, title without articles, and BIPOC author. Next is A Duet for Home by Karina Yan Glasser. This is a middle grade contemporary about a pair of friends who both live in a homeless shelter and have to kind of fight back when there is some new legislation proposed that would really negatively impact homeless families. It sounds like it's going to tackle some great topics. This satisfies the prompts of book you have not heard about, BIPOC author, and new to you author. And the last book that I think is middle grade is The Woman in the Woods and Other North American Stories by Kate Ashwin and Kel McDonald. This is a collection of short story graphic works that are about different myths and stories and legends in North American indigenous tribes. I heard about this from Melita at the Midnight Librarian, who I'll link below, and it just sounds really fantastic. This satisfies the prompts of BIPOC author and new to you author, as well as short stories hard mode, a collection. And then lastly, I have one historical fiction on my TBR, We Measure the Earth with Our Bodies by Tsering Yangsom Lama. So this is a story about two sisters who are Tibetan refugees in 1959, and they end up immigrating to North America, but they're forced to really reckon with a lot of issues of colonialism and displacement when they discover a really sacred religious object from where they are from is now in the hands of collectors in North America, and they have to figure out what they want to do. This satisfies the prompts of book you have not heard about, BIPOC author, new to you author, and depending on how you want to define it, non-USA author, including hard mode from the Global South, because the author is Tibetan, who was kind of born and raised in Nepal and now lives in the US. This is also a debut. Okay, so those are a bunch of the books that are on my TBR for the new Releaseathon in August. I'm really excited about them. I just want to get to as many of these as I can. Plus, I know I have a bunch of other things that are coming in from the library that I'm very excited about. I'm just really excited about reading all the new releases. If you guys have read any of these, if you're interested in them, or if you want to let me know what is on your TBR for August, I'm so excited about the readathon. If you make a TBR, definitely use the hashtag new Releaseathon 2022, and also leave me a comment down below so that I can go check it out and make sure that it gets added to our playlist. Anyway, just leave me a comment down below. I'm very excited to hear from you.